Hey guys, welcome to another reading vlog. So later today, I'm going to be starting a 24-hour read-a-thon. Rachel Marie asked if I wanted to do a little spontaneous 24-hour read-a-thon with her, and I have a couple arcs that I want to get to this weekend. I think I will continue this vlog all through next week up until the Smut-a-thon 24-hour read-a-thon. So I'm doing like back-to-back 24-hour read-a-thons 2 weekends in a row, which is fine. I think I can handle it. It'll be fine. This 24-hour read-a-thon will be starting, I can't remember what time she said. I think it was like 5 p.m. for me, but I'm going out to dinner with my parents tonight, so I think I am gonna be starting it a little bit later. I'll check in with you guys when I get back from that and when I officially start reading. Okay, so it is almost 6 o'clock. I'm home now and I'm going to start my first book, and that is going to be Say You Still Love Me by K.A. Tucker. I'm really excited. This is a second chance romance, which are usually my favorites, and I've only read one book by K.A. Tucker before, but I gave it 5 stars and it is one of my favorites of the year. Okay, so it is 11:50 and I just finished Say You Still Love Me by K.A. Tucker, and I really liked this. I kind of went into it with like a little bit lower expectations because I feel like reviews that I've seen have been 3 stars, but I really liked this. I didn't like it more than The Simple Wild because for me, The Simple Wild was just such a special book that I connected with a lot, and this wasn't like that for me, but I still really loved it. Since I didn't explain what this was about, it's basically about this woman named Piper who is a VP at her dad's company. Her dad owns this like really big real estate company and her family is super rich, and so one day she meets the new security guard in her office building, and it turns out that he is someone from her past. When they were 17, they were both camp counselors for the summer and they had a summer romance and they were in love. It ended and he basically like ghosted her. He just disappeared and pretty much broke her heart. So now he's like in her life again. She has a lot of questions, and the book took place in both timelines, so every other chapter switched back and forth between present day and then when they were at camp. I just love second chance romances. I don't think I've ever read a second chance romance that I didn't like. I just love characters who have so much history together already. I prefer it to romances where the characters are meeting for the first time. The big like struggle of their relationship in the present, aside from like a lot of secrets being kept. She is very wealthy and very successful, and he comes from a family of criminals. His father and his 2 older brothers are all in prison. He comes from a family of not having a lot of money, so he kind of struggles with feeling like he's not good enough for her, and that's like a really big point of contention in their relationship. It honestly kind of reminded me of Rory and Jess from Gilmore Girls. Not completely, but just like the dynamic of a really good girl meets the bad boy. It just kind of gave me those vibes. Like, he's totally tattooed and he has a lip ring. He's like the poster of a bad boy. The reason why I'm not giving this 5 stars and I'm giving it 4 stars instead is because half of the book takes place in the past when they're 17, and the majority of the sexual scenes happened when they were 17. It's not an issue. They were both 17. That's not the problem. The problem is I just feel uncomfortable as a grown-ass adult reading sex scenes between teenagers. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable. But aside from that, I really did love this. And now I'm just so excited to read even more books by K.A. Tucker, because now I'm 2 for 2 with books that I love by her. So I think I'm gonna take a little bit of a break before I start my next book because I'm a little bit like losing my mind. Although I'm not tired at all, I just need like a moment to decompress before I start my next book. I'm either going to start the female historical book because that is a novella, so it's quicker, or I'm going to start The First Girl Child. So I'm gonna start either one of those. I'm probably going to watch a couple episodes of The 100 before I start my next book. Okay, so it is now the next morning. Actually, it's like 11, and I'm gonna be ending the 24 hours a little bit early because I am going out to lunch and then I don't know when I'll be back. So the time that I have to read is now over. I did read another arc. This was called, I forget what it was called, hold on. A Little Light Mischief by Cat Sebastian. And this was a historical romance novella. I've really been wanting to read something by Cat Sebastian before because she writes queer historical romances, which I think is really cool. This was a female-female romance and it was definitely really cute. This is about a lady's maid and she has a really big crush on her employer's young companion. The writing was really good, so it definitely makes me excited to read more from Cat Sebastian. There's actually, I was looking up her other books earlier and there was one that sounded so good. Okay, it's called It Takes Two to Tumble. When I read the synopsis, it immediately reminded me of The Sound of Music. So it's a male-male romance that is like a retelling of The Sound of Music. I'm pretty sure it's a retelling of The Sound of Music. It's too similar to be coincidental. I really, really want to read this. Maybe I can request it from my library. Let me see if they have it. I put it on hold. There's a couple people in line ahead of me, so I don't know if I will be able to read it in this vlog, but I would definitely try to read that soon because this sounds so cute. I think right now I'm going to start reading at least the first couple chapters of Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. But this one, the blurb says magic has a price if you're willing to pay. And basically this is a West African inspired fantasy about this girl who comes from a family of witch doctors, but she doesn't have any magical abilities herself. The only way for her to get magic is to pay the ultimate price of selling off years of her life in exchange for magic. I'm very, very excited for this. Wait, this says it comes out on the 19th. Amazon says the 3rd. Goodreads says the 3rd also. So I'm gonna go with the 3rd even though this says the 19th. So I figured out if I read 6 chapters a day, I will be able to finish it by Monday, which is the day before it comes out. Don't mind the back, I messed up because I suck at counting. I think this is pretty manageable. Usually I try to read books in 1 or 2 sittings, but when I have a book that is probably a little bit longer than ones that I can usually read in a single sitting, I try to break them up like this. It probably won't take me the entire week to read it, but I just like to have like accountability. This helps make it seem more manageable. 6 chapters a day isn't really that much. So like roughly 80 pages a day isn't bad. So I just finished the pages for today. So I'm on page 81 and I thought while I gave you guys a little update, I would put on this new face mask that I got. So I am really enjoying this book so far. I know that it's probably gonna get a lot of comparison to Children of Blood and Bone just based on the fact that it is an African inspired fantasy. And like Children of Blood and Bone, it's about a girl who is trying to get magic. But honestly, so far, that's kind of where the similarities stop. But I really, really like the main character so far. She kind of has everything like working against her. She basically comes from like a very powerful family. Her mother is the priestess. I'm not applying this in a very aesthetic way. Sorry.
No, 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 no.
I don't know how people just like perfectly apply face masks because I can't do that. And her father is also a very powerful person. So she comes from like very strong bloodlines, but she has no magic herself. Every year she goes through like the trials to see if she has gotten magic, and every year she fails. Her mother is like honestly not a very great mom, and she's very disappointed in the fact that her daughter has no magic. And this world is like really not complicated because I feel like I understand everything, but there's a lot going on. So I could definitely see some people being confused, but I so far think I've got it down. How long do I have to have this on? 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, we can chat for a little bit. So far, I'm really enjoying it. I will say though that there are a lot of characters. I kind of hope that the finished copy has some sort of like character guide because it is a lot. For the first like 40 pages, anytime someone's name would be brought up, I would be like, who? But I think I've got it now. It's only like 8 o'clock, so I think I'm gonna try to read some more tonight since I have classes tomorrow. I don't know how much reading I'll be able to get done. Okay, I'm gonna go read. So I just got back from class and I had to go to Starbucks because yesterday I tried one of their new fall drinks. I've never been like a pumpkin spice girl, but they have a new drink called a pumpkin cream cold brew, which is their regular cold brew, and then on the top they have like pumpkin foam. So I got it and I tried it and it was like one of the best drinks I've ever had in my life. And I spent all the rest of yesterday thinking about the drink and all night and all this morning, so I had to go get one. Oh my god, it's so good. I just got back to my apartment and I'm gonna chill a little bit and watch some Netflix, and then I'm gonna go back to reading Kingdom of Souls, and I'm gonna try to get a lot of reading done today because I'm really enjoying it. I feel like if I just sit down and read, I could get a big chunk of it read today. I just have to show you guys the cutest thing ever. So the dad is telling the main character the story of how he met her mom, and he says that it's a love story. And he goes on like all about how they met and how they got married, and then he says, the man vowed to love and protect his daughter so that she would always feel wanted and would never have to endure the suffering that befell her mother. He had finally found the love of his life. You see, little priestess, this isn't a love story between a boy and a girl. This is a love story about a father's love for his daughter. This dad is like the cutest person in the world, and I swear to God, if anything happens to him, I am going to be so upset. Okay, so I finished Kingdom of Souls and I really liked this. I definitely feel like this is one of the more solid first books in a fantasy series that I've read in a while. This book had a ton working for it. The magic system, for one, was just super intricate and interesting. Basically in this world there are a bunch of tribes and they all have different types of tribal magic. There are the Orisha gods, who a long time ago the gods fought in a war to get rid of this demon king and all these demons, and a lot of this book surrounded that. Like, we got every 100 pages there would be one of the gods narrating for a couple pages, which was really interesting to figure out this whole backstory of this war with the Orishas and the demons. I really loved the main character so much. Mentioned that she's kind of the only one in her family and kind of in her community that doesn't have magic, and so she's really looked down upon. Her mother like doesn't want anything to do with her pretty much. Despite that, she is so determined to prove everybody wrong. But I also think what was so fascinating about this book and what I was the most interested in was the incredibly complex relationship that Ara had with her mother and another character that I'm not gonna spoil, but halfway through the book there's like a shift, and I loved that shift in the plot, and I really liked that because I feel like lately a lot of YA fantasy has been geared more towards the romantic relationships, and this one was definitely more focused on the family relationships, even though there was a little bit of romance with Ara and her best friend slash the son of her mother's enemy. They are best friends, but they were keeping their friendship a secret because their parents are like mortal enemies. This book was also a lot darker than I was expecting it to be. There were some really intense and dark things that happened. I think the only negative that I can really think of was that this book is pretty long. It's just about 500 pages, and the pacing was a little bit off at times. There were moments when it kind of dragged a little bit, but overall, I really liked this, and the ending, I'm like so excited to see where this series goes because I have no idea where it's gonna go. But I gave this 4 stars. I really loved it. Okay, so last night I decided to start reading The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare, which is the 3rd book in her newest series. I forget what it's called. And I finished it this morning, and oh my gosh, you guys, I loved this so much. I think this might be my new favorite of all Tessa Dare books. So this one follows Penny, who, if you've read the other 2 books in this series, you would know Penny. She's been my favorite side character because she has all these crazy pets. Like, she has a goat and a parrot, tons of cats, an otter. Like, she just has all these pets that she takes care of, and she is like the most pure, wholesome person ever. And so in this book, she meets her neighbor Gabriel, who basically earned all of his money by blackmailing people. So in society, he's really looked down upon because he like came up in the world in a very like scandalous way, and he's trying to sell the property there, but nobody wants to buy it because Penny has all these wild, crazy animals running around. And also her aunt really wants Penny to stop like hiding and like find a man, whatever. So she gives Penny a month to get rid of all of her animals. And so Gabriel and her make a deal that he will help find her animals a good home. So this whole book is them like trying to find good homes for the animals, and like all of her pets are so cute. Like, she has this one parrot who used to live in a brothel, so the only words that the parrot knows are like really inappropriate ones. This is the most like Hufflepuff Slytherin romance ever. As a Slytherin, my favorite people in the world are Hufflepuffs. So I just love a good Slytherin Hufflepuff dynamic, and they definitely had that. I just love this so much. I really, like, the more that I think about it, the more I really think this is my favorite Tessa Dare book. It was just so, like, the word that's coming to my mind is wholesome. It was very wholesome, but also very sexy and super funny. Like, it had the classic Tessa Dare humor in it. So that is going to be the end of this vlog. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!